She thought he was just a driver, until he kissed her to save her life. What happened next shocked Boston and changed everything. Rain hammered against the windshield as Marcus Hale tightened his grip on the steering wheel, the city of Boston blurring into streaks of gold and gray. He had driven through storms before, long nights, icy roads, unpredictable traffic, but something about this one felt different. Maybe it was the way the wind howled between the buildings, or maybe it was the tension sitting quietly in the back seat. He glanced in the rear-view mirror. Clara Whitmore, the heiress everyone in the city seemed to know by name, sat perfectly still, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She looked composed, but there was something in her eyes, something unsettled. "Are you all right, ma'am?" Marcus asked, his voice steady. "I'm fine," she replied, though her tone suggested otherwise. Marcus nodded and returned his focus to the road. He had been hired as her temporary driver just a week ago. It was supposed to be simple: transport her to meetings, events, and back home. No questions, no complications. But tonight didn't feel simple. "Take the long route," Clara said suddenly. Marcus frowned slightly. "The long route?" "Yes," she said. "Avoid the main roads." He hesitated for only a second before nodding. "All right." As he turned the wheel and guided the car down a quieter street, his instincts sharpened. Years of experience had taught him when something wasn't right. And something wasn't right. A black SUV appeared in his mirror. At first it seemed like any other vehicle, but it stayed with them through 2 turns, then 3. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Ms. Whitmore," he said carefully, "are you expecting anyone to follow you tonight?" Clara didn't answer immediately. "No," she said finally. That was all Marcus needed. He pressed slightly harder on the accelerator, weaving through the narrow streets as the rain intensified. The SUV didn't fall back. It stayed close. Too close. "Hold on," Marcus said. "What's happening?" Clara asked, her calm beginning to crack. "We're being followed." Her breath caught. "By who?" "I don't know yet," he said, his eyes scanning every mirror, every corner. "But I'm not going to find out the easy way." The SUV sped up. Marcus made a sharp turn, tires skidding slightly on the wet pavement. The car straightened just in time, but the SUV mirrored the move perfectly. "They're not backing off," Marcus muttered. Clara's hands trembled slightly now. "Marcus." "It's okay," he said firmly. "I've got you." The streets grew quieter as they moved farther from the city center. Fewer cars, fewer lights, more danger. Marcus spotted an abandoned side street ahead and turned into it without warning. The sudden move caught the SUV off guard for a split second, but it followed. "Stay down," Marcus said. Clara leaned forward instinctively, her heart pounding. "What are you going to do?" she whispered. Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he drove straight toward the far end of the street, then slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a stop. Before Clara could react, Marcus turned to her, his expression intense. "Trust me," he said. "What?" But he didn't let her finish. He leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It was sudden, firm, and completely unexpected. Clara froze, her eyes wide in shock. For a moment, everything else disappeared, the storm, the danger, the fear. Then Marcus pulled back just as quickly. "What are you doing?" she gasped. "Look," he said quietly. Clara turned her head.
The SUV had slowed, then stopped. The men inside hesitated, clearly confused by what they were seeing. A driver and a woman in the back seat, not panicking, not hiding, but locked in what looked like an intimate moment. Not targets, not threats, just two people caught in something personal. The SUV lingered for a few seconds longer. Then, slowly, it drove away. Silence filled the car. Clara turned back to Marcus, her expression a mixture of shock, confusion, and something else she couldn't quite name.
"You kissed me," she said. Marcus exhaled slowly. "Yes." "Why?" "They were watching," he explained. "They expected fear, panic, movement. Not that." Clara stared at him.
"And you thought that was the best option?"
"It worked," he said simply. She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Because it had worked. The danger was gone. For now. They sat there for a moment longer, the rain continuing to fall around them. Then Marcus started the car again. "We should go," he said. Clara nodded slowly. But something had changed. Not just the situation. Something between them. The rest of the drive was quiet, but it wasn't the same silence as before. It was heavier, more aware, more charged. When they finally arrived at her estate, Marcus stepped out first, opening the door for her. Clara hesitated before getting out. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For saving my life," she replied. Marcus shook his head slightly. "Just doing my job." Clara studied him for a moment. "No," she said softly. "That was more than your job." The next morning, Boston was buzzing. Rumors spread quickly in a city like this. A mysterious incident, a chased car, an unknown driver, and a billionaire heiress involved in something no one could fully explain. But no one knew the truth. No one except them. Marcus tried to return to normal, but normal didn't feel the same anymore. Every time he saw Clara, he remembered that moment, the urgency, the closeness, the way everything had narrowed down to just the two of them. And he knew she remembered it too, because things between them had shifted, subtly, but undeniably. Days later, Clara called him into her office. "Marcus," she said, her tone composed but thoughtful. "About the other night." He nodded. "Yes, ma'am." "You don't have to call me that," she said. He hesitated. "Clara," he corrected. She smiled faintly. "I've been thinking," she continued, "about what happened, about you." Marcus stayed silent. "I trust you," she said. The words landed with more weight than she probably intended. "Thank you," he replied. "And I'd like you to stay on," she added, "not just as a driver." Marcus frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, meeting his eyes, "I think I need someone like you around. Someone who doesn't panic. Someone who thinks." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. "And someone who's not afraid to do what it takes," she added quietly. Their eyes held for a moment, longer than necessary. Outside, the city moved on as it always did. People talked, speculated, wondered, but they didn't know the truth. They didn't know that one unexpected moment, one bold, calculated decision, had changed everything. And they definitely didn't know that what started as a way to save a life had become something far more complicated. Because sometimes, the most shocking moments aren't the ones the world sees. They're the ones that stay between two people and change them forever.
Hey there. subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.